It worked. Okay, I was thinking I was completely having the worst. Okay, yeah. Hello. Um, okay, let's see if I. Hi, Jess. Okay, it's funny. I have to tell you, I've been getting like message, like what do you call it? Feedback from people, and they're going, "I hate when you say hi to people," and it's like, can we just stop all this? Can I just like have the channel I want to play with? Can I kind of have fun with you guys and do yeah, I have to tell you, this was a very hard live for me to start. Hey, Teresa, good to see you. It was a very hard live for me to start for a number of reasons. One, my energy level is so low. I'm like having magnet day where I'm like trying to get myself off the couch. And then there's just been a lot of energy around, as all of you know. And it's gotten to the point where, it's almost funny because it's like the accusers are worse than the people they're accusing in a funny way. It's kind of an odd thing going on. So the voices are becoming so loud of people shouting. So one of the things I wanted to do tonight was talk to you about, move this a little closer. I wanted to talk about the Hart family tragedy because someone had asked me about that. She had mentioned it, and she said, the issue is that when there's people of color, we don't report that, we don't talk about it. And so I wanted to talk about this particular case because actually, it's just, I think it's just a case that can happen to anybody. But I think the media is extremely sensitive about these kinds of things because they don't want to say, ooh, this kind of family or that kind of family. And, all right, let me, I know. Okay. Humanimal just said something that I kind of went, oh my gosh. So I just want to take a moment before I get into the story. I don't know, Sarah and her wife, and am I back? Oh gosh. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, it's going to buffer for a minute. So if you hear me, and by the way, I'm not the only YouTube person that is buffering, apparently. This is going on a lot of lives, so I want to kind of let you guys know. Okay. So Jennifer and Sarah Hart met in college, and they later married, and they went on to adopt children. And they were from, forgive me, anybody who wants to jump in on this, because I'm not, like, I had it all written down, and then of course I don't have it in front of me, but they lived in the Pacific Northwest. They lived in 3 different places, actually, and I think it was somewhere in the Midwest, and then they moved out west. Basically, they adopted 6 children of color. There were 6 Black children. They were both white. And they had these perfect family photos. So when I tell you, like, these children were staged, and it was really fascinating to watch how, and bear with me, how culturally appropriate it was. Like, here's the 2 women and their 6 children, and Devante was one of the 6 children. He and his 2 sisters actually lived, they were with their mom, and they were later adopted by Sarah and Jennifer. Now, yeah, exactly. Oh, I didn't know that, Humanimal. Good to know. So Sarah, Humanimal was just saying that Humanimal was just saying, sorry, Sarah was a child of Jonestown. So this kind of gives you the idea of power control. I want to say, hey, shout out to Duty Ron. Thanks for joining me tonight, Duty Ron. And love you lots. Thanks for the super chat. And for, as we say, as now they're saying, donation. Thank you for that. Which, I love you pieces. I think you're great. I hope you had a beautiful night the other night, and it was his wife's birthday. So, Okay, so Sarah and Jennifer, I think when we look at this, it's very creepy to look at these photos of this family. I'm not going to look at the chat just for a minute so I can get this story out a little bit, which is that they had these 6 children. Now, the pictures, the photographs, I'm going to kind of like just tell you this part, and then I want to cut to the end to tell you what actually happened, and we'll go backwards. But basically, the pictures were these perfect, lined up, here's, Sarah and then Jennifer, and they're all wearing these t-shirts of like some kind of like, I don't know, I want to say like, for lack of a better way of putting it, like some kind of like Habitat for Humanity thing. Okay. So it's that, they didn't do that, but it was that kind of thing. The children went with them to a Bernie Sanders march, which was what put them on the map in, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago now, because, gosh, was it that long ago? Yeah, like 4 or 5 years ago, because Devontae, there's a beautiful photo, and it's just heart-wrenching, of Devontae hugging I think it's Portland police officer, and it became national news. It became this moment where everyone kind of got this idea of diversity and beauty all at the same time. And it was just this very moving photo. Well, I want to just cut to the end of the story, and then I'm going to come back and back up a little bit. Basically, the story ends with Jennifer and her wife in their minivan with their 6 children. They were driving down the coast, and from the Pacific Northwest, they were driving down the coast. They got to a kind of a lookout area, and from what the police reports tell us, they thought at one point that the van went off the road and went 100 feet down onto the rocks. That's not what happened. What happened was they came to a complete stop, and I think it was, forgive me, I think it was Jennifer was driving. She floored it. She went off the side of the ravine, and they went the cliff, and they went straight down 100 feet. Everyone in the car was killed. 3 of the children were missing for a long time, and they, it was Jennifer Hart. She was drunk, and this gives me a segue into the disease of alcoholism, and the, it goes to what I was kind of talking about last week, just in terms of my own dealing with, depression and all this stuff. And I found out today that I had been misdiagnosed. I actually am like really close to finding out what's going on with me, which is super fab. But that said, I told Duty Ron we're going to spring him out of jail. This is just so funny. But anyway, the story's not funny. It's a horrible story, because here are these 6 children. Now let's back up for the children for a minute. The part that's really scary about this is that they think, the supposition is that Child Protective Services was onto them when they were in, I want to say, in the Midwest. Then they just pulled up and moved. Now the thing that gets me, and this is the overarching conversation, everybody, when we think about Child Protective Services, first of all, they are way understaffed, underfunded, everything else, but they don't have a national database. There is no way for them to, because each state operates their own thing. So literally, these 2 women pulled their children out, okay, took them to another state. As soon as they got like the first visit, oh, everything looks fine, and then they move on. Now, the thing we found out in the last place that Jennifer and her wife lived with the children was the next door neighbors. The children, Devontae and the other children, were horribly undersized for their age. And so Devontae would like climb out of the window, sneak next door, and ask them for food because they weren't being fed. These kids, like, it was something ridiculous. Like, he was the size of a 6-year-old at 12 years old. So this was the malnutrition and the not being fully formed. These kids were so abused in this family. I'm agreeing it should be completely federally linked. This is part of the issue, okay? is that we're looking at things, while everybody's screaming like profanity at each other in the media. And I don't even want to get into who's doing what, but we're looking at kids who are sliding into these families that at the surface look perfectly fine, right? But then there are people, and I'm looking at a couple families I know here in Asheville, and there's this one guy, and he's kind of like, he's a good guy. He and his wife, they adopted a child. She's very, very troubled. And he's a pot smoker, right? But let me tell you something. If they had that child, if they gave birth to that child, it would be no big deal. But like basically he's got to go in for drug testing and all this stuff. But they're great parents. Okay, he's not blowing smoke in this kid's face. But here we've got this perfectly looking, right? This perfect looking couple, and how wonderful. They had pictures of the children dressed up in African garb and all of the show, but they were starving these children to death. The neighbors were even saying, well, they were kind of lined up and they were marching perfectly. Yeah, Cherie Miller just said it. They adopted all these kids and they were basically using the kids to get money. I think they were living off the children. I really do. I think they were living off the money. But where was the money going? So we can look at, if you saw the pictures of the house, it was really nice. I got to tell you, it's kind of nicer than it's nicer than most of our houses, okay? Perfect home, like really nice bookshelf, really nice. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not a house with 6 kids. I mean, I'm sorry, but like a real house with with 6 kids, that's going to have dishes in the sink. That's going to have kids playing. That's going to have kids dirty. So exactly, Humanimal. What happens is every state's different. But you get a certain amount of money for each child that you foster. Now, once you adopt them, there's a whole nother thing. And exactly, Claire just said this. Calls to the police began just 2 years after the. Look at this and go, why was it 5 years? And you can see, my internet, I'm just like hating life right now. Hold on. Maybe I'm back up. Okay. So I think I'm back. Yeah. Okay, good. The thing is that, let's look at this from one point of view, right? Because, I like to look at different angles. The first point of human of like, what the F is wrong with people that get these kids? Like, how do they get these kids? Like, I applied a few years ago and it's like, I'm sorry, I have the reason they turned me down is a landline. I didn't have a landline in my house. I was like, okay. It's like, okay. So, I was kind of like, meanwhile, they're screaming for foster families, but it's like they give these kids, and not only that, they had the first 3 kids and they were called, and then it's the next, and it's like you want to sit back and go, and forgive me, Judy Ron, because this is not about law enforcement. It's more like, what is wrong that these public services are not taking care of these children? Well, that's one thing, right? That's the kind of like outrage about it. But the next thing I wonder about is like, my God, it's easier to get kids and guns than it is to get like medicine that you need for illness. Where are we looking at things? I want to say backwards. So I want to back up and look at Jennifer and Sarah. And, when we look at these 2 women, not only was one a survivor of Jonestown, so we can begin to see the whole thinking behind cult mentality. And the cult mentality is, how do I control you? Well, if you've ever been to any weekend seminar, right? Like, and if you've been to a tree hugging seminar, the whole idea is to break you down. They break you down so that you're open to what's being offered, right? And that's why a lot of that cult stuff has gotten such a horrifying name, because it's like they break you down until you listen to everything they say. Well, in this case, these 2 women starved these children. Now, what I don't get is everyone saw this happening, but the kids, I want to say this, the kids were homeschooled. And this is part of the thing. So the question I have for all of you tonight is, what do we begin with? Like, and the thing I think that we have to look at is, and this is another point of view that I just kind of had when this is why I want to talk about this. Let me come back to this. You know, I think part of it is that people are so afraid. They're so afraid they don't want to get caught. They're really afraid of, like, oh my gosh, we're going to get into trouble. We're going to lose our rights, whatever. So you can look at these two women, and of course they're running and they're afraid, right? We can look at it that way. So they're going to be like, we don't want anybody to find out what we're doing. But also, you know, these children were like reaching out for help. But if they get help, they're going to lose the only family they know. So what are we looking at here in a way of like saying, well, we're punishing people for being abused, right? And then we're also punishing the abuser, which I get that we should, okay? I get that there's something to that. But the thing is that why are we not really running background checks on these people? Why are we not creating a situation where the kids know they have a safe place to go all the time? And I think that's the biggest issue, is these kids wanted out. They were sneaking out. They were sneaking in the neighbors and going, can we get canned goods? Don't give us anything that can be found. They were like literally getting canned green beans and eating them in secret because they're not being fed. And I'm telling you, when you're not fed, when your brain isn't working right, you're kind of going, okay, I'll do whatever you want. Please just feed me, you know. And the thing that the brainwashing happens from people, listen, it's the old cliche, and you guys have heard this, abuse people, right? So if we look at it that way, you know, we have to look at what's going on with Sarah and Jennifer, these two women that nobody reported. Like nobody, more importantly, nobody stopped it. And I think we kind of live in almost, and I'm hoping this is coming to an end, but almost a too polite society of, oh, well, they're nice people. I don't want to get them in trouble. Now think about this. The final call to the Child Protective Services was by the next door neighbors, right? And they said, these kids are asking us for food. Something's going on here. The woman was like, the wife, and there was a couple. She was saying, there's something wrong here. These kids are coming over. And I'm like going, well, you know, what can we do? And she said, and Jennifer was very rude to her, right? And I thought, wow, you know, what can we do where, you know, because children bond, they want to bond to like a family. They want to have a family. And what are we doing that we're allowing this to happen? And these women, the minute they were called, these women, the Child Protective Services left a note on the door saying, we missed you, blah, blah, blah. They got in the car, they packed everything up, they took off, and that's when they drove off the cliff. This was the third city they had been to. So when I say this to you, I'm giving you more of an overview of what the F, you know, what are we going to do here about, yeah, I think we need a database of people. I think we need to look at these things. And it really, you know, and I go back to saying this, it's not about law enforcement. It's not about, you know, there's nothing. In fact, we're in a time when we're tying law enforcement hands more and more and more. And the thing is that Child Protective Services has like, their whole thing is clear those cases. They don't want they're not allowed to really investigate what's going on. I mean, I'm really feeling like, gosh, we need, and this is something we have here in Asheville, and I want to find out more about it. It's kind of a citizen task force that works with the courts. And what they do is they bring a family court. They bring in a family dynamic of dad, mom, or two women, two men, whatever, parents, and the children, and the abuse that's going on. Typically, one of them has been arrested. And this is the thing. These two went under the radar. They did not get arrested for anything. And what happened was in Asheville is that, you know, people sit on these panels, and people who are alcoholic or recovering or what have you, we get to sit there and go, well, this is how I see it, you know, as an addict or what have you, you know, as a depressed person, as a whatever. And I just think we need to call on common sense citizenry, you know, of like, when people are like again and again and again saying these children are being abused, don't we need to do something? I don't know if are you guys able to hear me? Let's see. Thank you, Olive Joy. Some of the people who are going to become social workers were scary. You can tell that certain students had no business going into that field. I don't know. I don't know if you guys can, I don't know if I'm frozen or, can somebody post if I'm, okay. The Rosenbaums were just like that. CPS had just let them foster and didn't do a background check. Well, this is what's happening. I don't know. I've had like a funkadoodle time, I got to be honest with you, with YouTube. So I'm not sure if I'm even on or live. So I may pull this just because I don't think anybody's there. It says you're there, but I don't see anything. Let me just see something. Nope. Anybody there? Okay. I'm just wondering if anybody can hear me. It seems like you're here, but I can't tell because nothing's getting posted. I guess maybe chat's just not working. So what I want to point out tonight, and I'm not feeling 100%. I'm still low energy, but I wanted to just point out to all of you that, you know, I think one of the things that disturbs me about this is the same thing that disturbed me about my childhood, in the sense that I was always screaming internally. Like there was always a feeling like, is anybody out there? Can you hear me? Are you, you know, and I think this is what happens in the mind of abused children, is they know if they cross that adult, they're like screwed, because they know that they'll be taken from that home and it could get worse. Think about that. You know, a lot of these kids who are thrown into foster care and then finally adopted, they've got a real family. Now, what's sad about Devontae and his siblings in the Hart case is that he had a family. And there were some circumstances around that as to why they got adopted. But I'm just, you know, I feel very sad about that particular case. And I wanted to bring it up tonight. It looks like you guys are here. If you are, could you give a thumbs up? I don't know if you can hear me. I don't even know, because it looks like the chat's not working. I'm telling you, can I be honest with all of you? I've had such a crazy arse week. I mean, and I think a lot of people have. And I just, okay, some of you are hearing me. So one of the things I want to say is that when I look at what's going on, when I look at how people are just rampant about the shootings we're seeing, right? So I want to talk about that as well. And they want to, the thing that's happening is the pointing of blame is really kind of the same thing here, of like, it's easy for me to point blame at, you know, at saying, well, these two women had no business, you know, adopting kids. And the reason the media doesn't pick up on it is because it's kind of like, oh, we don't want to make people think it's this gender, or we're being against a particular group. And it's like, no, you're being against child abuse. And I think that we have to really look at, I think we really need to start looking at some of the more serious things that are falling by the wayside. Lovely children like this Devontae. He was an absolutely lovely child who was completely tortured. And if you saw the pictures of the other five children, they were gorgeous. They were darling kids. and they were all like malnourished. I mean, I can't imagine not seeing that. So I think what I'm trying to say tonight, and I'm gonna, it kind of, chat's not working and all this, but one of the things I want to say about that is that, I really think that law enforcement in this country is doing a lot. I think that the problem is that everything's falling onto law enforcement. We're expecting the police to be good social workers, counselors. We're expecting these people to do everything instead of saying, okay, mandatory check-ins. Those children need to be weighed and talked to, and because the thing is that what the children are afraid of is being put back in the system. I think that's the issue, is that we've created a system where they're afraid of the system. So what do you do? And I don't think I think when people talk about institutional issues across the board, it does make me wonder, and I don't know. I've really learned in these past couple months how little I know. And forgive me because I don't mean anything by it, but how little I know about cultural differences in terms of how we experience the world. And I just feel horrified that these children, especially, because we met Devonte. If you get a chance to Google it, Devonte Hart, you will see what a darling picture. He's just darling, darling. So I'd like to hear what you have to say. I'm gonna kind of cut this short just because I'm not feeling 100%, you guys, and it's been a very rough week for me. And I just a lot of doctor stuff, and I'm just kind of tired. But I didn't want you to think that I wasn't going to at least, come out and share with you. I was going to pre-record this as a video, and then I just didn't. So I just want to send y'all lots of love and just say thank you for all your support. It's been a rough week for me personally, and just trying to trudge along like everybody else. And I think the effect of as I'm taping this, the effect of the shootings, we're coming up on the year of the Watts case. And it's been, when we look at a lot of things cyclically, I'm also looking at Jupiter going direct. Mercury just went direct. There's a lot of planetary influence that's happening right now that I think is kind of like, you have to understand, Jupiter is a planet of opportunity and luck and expansion. And it's also, interestingly, it represents foreigners. And, well, it's the ninth house, but it represents a lot of things that, when it goes retrograde, when it wheels back on itself, it's going back over things that we did not fix in the past. And now it's going forward, Jess, it looks like you're back. It looks like some of the chat is back. I don't know what happened to the chat. It just disappeared. I kind of feel like the best thing, thank you very much, Sherry. I appreciate that a lot. I think that, I know, you know what, Humanimal, I think they are. Because I'm finding that, now, if you would, try again, just see, because I think that YouTube is really messing with me. And I'm really kind of like, I noticed that if you disagree or you agree, like even like on a political thing, right? If you agree with someone, I'm very middle of the road. So if you agree with someone, go, yeah, that's true. And then you go, yeah, that's true. People are like, who, like, oh, if she agrees with this, then she has to be censored. Oh, she's agreeing with this, she needs to be censored in a different way. And it's kind of like, I just have my thoughts about ideas, but not necessarily like what you want me to do. So I wonder if they're not, yeah, I can't super chat. That's really weird. I wonder if I'm being targeted, yeah, thank you, Christine. I really feel like there's a lot going on because honestly, I don't know what's going on because, let's see, have been able to hear everything. Tori, please rest. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate it. I am going to rest tonight. And I just, I want to let you know, like, and I know this is, thank you so much, All Unite. I really appreciate it. It's been very difficult. Luckily, I have insurance. I got some decent insurance. Oh, wow. That's what it is. That's what it is, Teresa. That's what it is. Michael Brown was killed by police in Ferguson, Missouri 5 years ago. Today, Devontae was protesting this event when the hug picture became famous. That's what it is. Thank you, Teresa. I'm getting truth bumps. I don't know what it is, you guys, but I feel like there's like all this stuff is coming up because I feel like it's just crazy. You know what? I've got to tell you, you guys, I'm going to be really upfront with all of you and say this, that the happy things I'm doing right now is I've got my nail thing and I'm doing my nails. And I don't know if you saw my little nail video, but I'm really enjoying, and by the way, they do glow in the dark. It's really funny. Yeah, you can chat again. I know. But I've been really, this has made me very happy because I like it. And I can't tell you how many people, thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. And Cooper. Yeah, these are the glow in the dark ones. They're so fun. I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, just hating. And I'm like, you know what, guys, leave me alone because I just am enjoying it. It's like, Chris Boston, good to see you. Is Judy Ron back? I didn't see him on here. Yeah, I'm Joanne Campbell. Thank you very much. I am getting answers. I'm like super close. And I have to tell you, I went to see my MD today and, she said, it's so funny because I've had a suspicion, and I don't want to talk about it on this chat, but I'll do it. I think I'm going to do it in my Patreon because I can kind of talk to you guys a little bit more personally there. But, I have been feeling for almost 15 years about what my particular issue is, and nobody was listening to me. And so I think that's where I really feel this kind of thing right now with the Hart family and, these kids crying out for help and no one helping them. And I just felt like I was sitting I went into my doctor's office today, and she's great. She and I sat down and she's like, I just looked at her because she had to take a couple days off because one of her kids was sick. And I just looked at her and she goes, you look terrible. I go, oh, yeah. And she said, what's going on? I told her. And she's like, I haven't wanted to say this. And this is the key, everyone. Speak up. I was doing a reading with a woman last week and I said, you know what? I'm getting this feeling about something and I could be wrong. Don't take it as gospel. Please don't. And this is what I'm seeing. And she went, that's right. And I've had other people go, that doesn't feel right. Then don't listen to it, But anyway, I was sitting with my doctor and this is why I feel so strongly about this Hart case that, I was sitting with her and she looks at me and says, I haven't wanted to say this to you. And I thought, uh-oh, here she comes. And she goes, I'm wondering if it could, I don't want to upset you, but I wonder if it could be XYZ and this. And I go, I've been feeling this way for 15 years. I came in and told you that. She said, well, I know, but I didn't want to put that on you. And I'm like, put it on me. Slather me. Let's get something where I can, because here's the thing, guys. Our parents, their parents, let's face it, we've been exposed to, I want to say orange something. Remember in Vietnam, I want to say, I forget what it's called even, but like Agent Orange. We've been exposed to, thank you, Monsanto. We've been exposed to like Roundup, which is, I am convinced, killed my last dog. We have been exposed to so many things that have altered our bodies. And you know what? Nobody's saying anything. And the thing is, we are not the same people we were, right, 20 years ago. Right? Exactly. Okay. What had happened? Like the Turpins with the brainwashed, starved kids. Exactly, Aiden. Exactly. That's exactly it. Aiden and Arinza channel. Exactly. Here's the thing. Okay. I thought today, seriously, I was like, oh my gosh, thank God I didn't have children. Because I was watching this girl that, she's amazing, by the way. She's the gal who has coached me with the nail business that I'm doing. And I just love her. And she's got like a kid and she's like, her kid comes in, and she's like, oh, okay. And she's talking to her and it's so sweet. And I'm going, wow, that's really cool. Like, I think I would be nutty. Okay. And it is because we've been affected by so much and our world is moving so fast. I don't think we have the coping skills, and certainly we're not putting the money toward things that give us coping skills, that teach us how to behave. And that's where I feel like so much around, and don't get me wrong, I think praying is very valuable, but I think we need skills with all of that. We need so much more. Let me just see exactly. Okay, I'm about to. Oh, hey! Sorry, my dogs just went. Owen, stop! Oh, it's that guy. They're fighting. I'm telling you. Sorry, guys. Okay, I know my kids. Now you see how I am as a parent. Come here. You sit down now. You stop that. Causing problems. Look at this is the troublemaker. What are you doing, trouble? Ooh, he's looking back like, you know, he's trying to eat his. Yeah, you're trying to eat his food. That's why you get all pissy. Okay, so. Yeah, I do still I have kids. Stop! Okay. It's like, I know, he's my handsome troublemaker. But you're right there, buddy. All right. Don't bother your brother. He will kick your butt. He may be on his last legs, but he'll, you know, I know, right? So, yeah, it sounds like I have kids. Hey! I know. Oh, God. But, you know, that's the thing. It's like we have so much going on in our lives. Please don't push for intimate details. Oh, okay. Paint chips. Love the nails. You're a creative person and your interest in the adventure is helping you. It is. Thank you, Alice. See, what I want to say about this. Now, you leave him alone because I'll come get you. The thing about this is that, you know, I think that as I'm going through all this stuff, you know, and I went in and I said to my doctor, listen, I am really kind of at this place where I'm not writing. Like my focus is not there. And so we talked about it and she came up with what I've been thinking for like years. And anyway, so we'll see what happens because we have a really good plan in place. I'm excited about doing some kind of rational talking and also some other choice to other things to see what I can come up with. You know, let's see. Yeah, I think that we need to understand right now, guys, this is the biggest thing. I think we really need to understand that what's going on in the world is affecting all of us. I don't know anybody, and I'm not kidding when I say this to you all, I don't know anybody who is adjusted. You know, there used to be a joke years ago. It was a big banner and it was a picture of two people sitting in the audience and it said adult children of normal parents, you know, and it was like two people sitting there, you know, but the point I'm making is that, you know, it's not that, listen, and I want to really defend parents too, because I think that when I say that, I can look at my family now and go, wow, they were really tortured. And what were they trying to do? You know, they were like trying to figure out me, you know. And I'm not defending abuse or anything like that. I'm really not. But what I am looking at is that, you know, I think that we've made a big mistake moving away from understanding and talking about mental illness and family challenges. We talked about this stuff in the 80s, you guys. I don't know, for those of you that were around, I was very young, but I remember we talked about, I mean, you know, John Bradshaw, we talked about the family dynamic. We talked about the disease of alcoholism. We talked about people trying to recover, right, from what they were going through. But now, cut to after the 80s, we had the vets coming back, the Vietnam vets, who were affected by Agent Orange. They were shooting heroin. They were doing opioids. They were, you know, because they couldn't stand what was going on. It was like the stuff they had to endure. That's got to pass through into people. That's got to pass into our DNA. And I think that all of a sudden in the 90s, we were all like going self-realization and, you know, and now just like, I'm going to like, you know, what is it? Law of attraction. I'm going to do this with my brain. Guess what? You can only go so far without integrating into your body and energetically healing. Okay. And I really feel like I have some people who are like, you know, meds are bad. I'm like, I don't think anything's bad if it works for you. And here's what I think. Being guided and getting help through things, you know, I've got to tell you, I was talking to a friend of mine in London today. We were on Skype, and I was like, yeah, I was talking to her about my medical stuff, and she has medical stuff, so we're talking about this stuff. And I said, I'm just really hitting a wall with this, and I'm grateful for this shift. And then we started talking about nails. And I was talking about nails with my friend Karen, and we were talking about being over 50. And a lot of like the kids that are doing this stuff are so young. And I was like, and I said, yeah, I'm really enjoying it because it's kind of fun. I just put them on and, you know, I'm really having fun. And she's like, you know what, Tori, if it makes you happy in this moment, do it. And I'm like, well, I don't want people to think badly of me because I'm doing this little, you know, business thing. And, you know, I'm not trying to tell people they have to do it or whatever. I'm just enjoying it. It's giving my brain a place to land for a little while as I'm processing this. And so what I want to say to all of you is that, you know, all of us need bridges. We all need the bridge from the panic or the shame or the fear into a new way of being. And by that, I mean, whatever that bridge is for you, is it doing a crossword puzzle? Is it putting together? I have a friend I visited in LA, and she has this massive crossword puzzle on her dining room table. Of course, she doesn't use her dining room table now, but it's like half of it's done. I'm like, what's this? And she's like, oh, well, I'm working on a crossword puzzle. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And she's like, yeah, it kind of keeps my mind going. And I thought, we have forgotten that our mind is sucked into this vortex called the internet. And yes, in many ways, guys, it is such a blessing because I get to connect with you all and I get to talk to you about it. And I think the mistake that happens too, especially, and I go back to, you know, Shanann getting excited about Thrive or me getting excited about my nails, you know. And I think what happens is that what I'm enjoying is the camaraderie with other women. I'm enjoying that. I feel that I've been so cut off as a writer. And so I feel like we need that kind of community again. And one of the things that, you know, and obviously, you know, Shanann was selling. She was in the high level of selling. And one of the things that I've learned is that, you know, and believe me, I have okay, you guys ready for a story? I got to tell you a Tori story. No, you don't have to do anything. I'd be like, all right, what do I, you know, how much? You know, and at the time okay, here we go. Okay, got it. So at the time I had like 3 nickels to rub together, but I was like, okay, how much? You know, because you got to buy into all this crap, right? And it was whatever. And I wrote her a check. I think it was like $300. So I'd get groceries for life. And of course the company went under in like 5 months, but she was like, you just have to get people under you. I'm like, no. That's not going to happen. I don't think this thing is legitimate and I don't want to do it. But I signed up because you're my friend and you told me to sign up. Well, then she comes back. Okay, you ready for this? Air. I'm not BSing you guys. Oxygen in a can like this, but you didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. I was like going, what's this? She goes, yeah, it's going to be the big rage. Everybody's going to have oxygen in a can. I'm like, no. Well, she sold the heck out of it, right? Now she's selling water and she's doing really well. But the point is, so my little app comes out on my phone, you know, for my Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards. It's an app. And I said, oh, are you going to get my app? She looks at me, she goes, oh yeah, okay. And she jumps on, she goes, it's $5. I was like, are you kidding? I've spent almost $1,000 on your crap. I said, the least you could do is invest $5 in my app. We still laugh about that. Okay. So just to give you the idea of like me and MLMs, no, because I don't want to have to be chasing you. But the thing that's funny about this, about Color Street and what I'm enjoying is that I don't have to do anything really. I just tell you I like my nails. I like the different things, and you know, it's doing well. I was talking to this woman who, and I like the fact that I'm not being BS'd. Do you know what I mean? Like when I say it's an MLM, of course it is, because if you sell a certain amount and you have people under you, but I don't need to do that. I like having the nails, and that's what I did. And by the time you do, they say it's only 130. Well, it's 150 with tax and everything once you buy in, if you buy in, and you get like 10 of the different nail things. You know, I got this one that I have on, and just different things. This one, I don't know if you could see that. And you get like 10 of them, and I like it. And so it's paid for itself, right? But the point I'm making is that, people have been so mean. Like somebody say, well, do I have to get something a month? I go, no, it's like a regular site. You go on, you can buy one if you want it, and that's it. So somebody, and she said, is it monthly? What is it? And somebody went, it's an MLM. And I was like, I didn't say it wasn't an MLM, but I like it because I don't have to push you to buy anything. You don't like it? You don't have to buy. I have a link there because people ask me all the time, about my nails and blah, blah, blah. And yes, these are glow in the dark. I don't know if you could see them that way. Maybe you can. Look. Oh, not really. So, yeah, Stephanie just said they're so easy. And that's the thing, Humanimal. It is about doing you. I think that, yeah, Dawn, Dawn just did they're really great. I have to tell you, I did a little video. So if you're interested, check it out. It's just on, I showed you how to do it, and I put these on during the video, and they're strips. And they're real nail polish. They are, they're cured. They're made in America, and they are organic, vegan, gluten-free, right? But what I like, seriously, they stay on no matter what I do. So there you go. Aren't they fun? They're kind of really cute. Yeah, there's no dry time. Stephanie's right. There's no dry time. So what you do is, because it's real nail polish, you put it on, right? And then with your finger, you just take your thumb and break it off a little bit. I'm going to do another video. I'm going to actually do new nails, and I'm thinking I'm going to do it like Sunday with my bestie Karen. We're going to do like a chick chat and do nails. Yeah, it's yeah, I'm telling you, I'm glad, Joanne, because I think this is like such a cute thing. And I'll tell you what, people are like, but the strips, so they're like this, right? I think this is the Pause for a Cause. The strips themselves, you get up to like, I guess three, but to be honest with you, I get sick of nail polish after I put it on twice. So I like the fact that, twice and done. Let's see. It's okay to be white. European Americans need to end this toxic wave of hate toward us. Voided NPC. You know what I want to say to you? I think, okay, and I'm glad you said this, Voided NPC, because I am gonna I love Cruz Boston, by the way. She's the best. She takes them off. She goes like this and cuts you right off. If they're unkind or rampant flippant remarks, start snarkiness, oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. These Stephanie just said, I've got to tell you, these things are life-changing. I can't, and I said to a friend of mine, I was like, she said, well, how long do they last? I go, the problem is they last so frickin' long that you get bored with them before they chip. And I have not had a chip yet on any of these, because they're kind of almost put on like, they feel like tape when you put them on, but they're real nail polish. That's what they are. And so it does, some people I've got to tell you, I've not put a clear coat on it. Some people do. But I want to go back to what you just said, Voided PC. It's okay to be white. European Americans need to unite to end this toxic wave of hate toward us. I think what's happening is that if you look at it this way, it's a wave of self-hatred as well, because I think it's a way of control. So if you look at it this way, when you see white people hating white people, and I'm not talking about the crazies, okay, let's not even get into the far left or the far right. Like they're just like fringe crazy, okay? Let's just say that, fringe crazy. I'm talking about most of the people in the middle. When you get people that want to look good more than they want to do good, those are the people that are so quick to go, white people suck, and I'm like, are you white? And I remember, like, this is years ago now. I must have been in my 20s, and there were a bunch of us sitting around. And it's just like 5 or 6 of us, and there was maybe, we were all white, right? So one guy goes, yeah, white people, blah, 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 this is what they do. And I go, aren't you white? He was like, well, but it's just wrong that I go, you know what? Shut the pie hole. Because you know what? I want to hear from Black people. I want to hear from people of color, their experience. Because I don't know. I speak stuff and people go, oh, I can't believe you'd say that. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's from my point of view. I don't know. I think what we want to look at is the fact that growing up with alcoholism, right? And I grew up with other friends who had alcoholism. Let's talk about this in terms of alcoholism, because I think this will make a lot of sense. I remember a young man, his brother and I were in class together, and he was really railed on by his alcoholic father. Like, his alcoholic father would beat the crap out of him, right? And all he would say to us, he'd be sitting, we'd all go to, coffee shops in those days in the village. I grew up in New York, Greenwich Village. And all he'd say is, there's going to be a time I'll get back. I'll get back. I'll get mine. I'll get him back. And there came a time where he got to beat the heck out of his dad, put him in the hospital. He lived. But I remember one of the most profound things I heard from him was I thought for so many years, because he gave me so much hate, I thought if I gave it back to him, I would feel better. And the truth is, I don't feel better. I only feel more hate. And I think that when we look at it that way, hate begets hate. And so when going back to Sarah and Jennifer, they had to have so much self-hatred because they had to try to control everything. So when we look at, people that are going, oh, white people are bad, and they're white, it's kind of like you're just trying to control the dialogue. You're just afraid of what people of color want to say. And that's what disturbs me, is I'd rather hear what they have to say, even if I don't agree, or I go, I don't know. But I think that's what I'm trying to say. So I really appreciate what you're saying, because I think that we have to, I know for me as being a white person, I can only speak for me about not being holier than thou. I don't get up and go, I've got to protect those poor Black people. No, I think that what I want to do is be a stand for watching them. And I want to say people of color in general, right? Because it's not just Black folks, it's people of color. I want to be a stand for everybody's voice counting. Why do we have to say, you need to shut up, you need to shut up? And the louder people scream about someone being hateful, the more hateful they are. And so I don't get it. Like, I don't get, you can't defeat hatred with hate. I remember asking my dad about World War II. And I remember sitting in the living room, and it was over July 4th. It was right before 9/11. My father would be dead in 7 months. And I asked him, I begged him, I said, Papa, can we watch Saving Private Ryan together? And because he was there. Now, he wasn't in the landing boat, he jumped, okay? And he said, okay, but you can't close your eyes. Because I always go like this during the bad parts. He goes, you can't close your eyes. If I sit there with you and I watch this movie, you sure as hell better have your eyes open just like I did. And I was like, okay. And we sat there, and I'll never forget, because he had Venetian blinds in his New York apartment, and the light kind of came through, and it had the shadows on him of the Venetian blind in his chair. And I remember I was sitting on the other side of the room and watching him. And I remember him watching it. And I remember him watching the landing and watching all of those boys being shot up. And I was watching him, and he just was like this. And I remember looking at him and he would go, and he didn't get the fact that I was trying to watch what he saw. Like, I couldn't see what he saw through his eyes. And, I think that I remember looking at him. This goes back to what I was saying. And so I said, Papa, how did we win? And Tori, nobody wins a war. said, I know, but he goes, okay. Hitler and his ideology was defeated. Okay. And I said, okay. And he goes, I want to tell you something. We were outmanned, outgunned, outmaneuvered. The Germans had on these beautiful white snow, parkas. We had our little tiny, thin jackets that we wore on D-Day, right? This is, and he said, there's no reason that we defeated with only 200,000 of us and something like, and I want to say that the Allied troops, because it wasn't just Americans, it was Canadians, it was British, it was, Irish, and forgive me if I've left your country out. The point is that the Allies, think about this for a minute, the Allies moved forward, and many of those boys died. Many of those boys died. And what was the prevailing thing? And I remember saying to Papa, how could we win? I mean, I'm watching this, I go, look at that, because in Private Ryan, they make a bomb out of a sock. And Papa said it was a lot like that. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah. He said, we didn't have anything. He said, one time up in the bulge, I had to crawl on my hands and put out a fire in the munitions. And he said, I put it out and I got back, and then I went, that was crazy. I could have died, because the munitions could have blown. The point I'm making is that he looked at me and he said, Tori, good always overcomes evil. You see, you can't one-up evil with more evil. You can't try and accuse somebody of being responsible for hate. You can't do that, because you become the hater. See, you become the thing you hate most. But what he did say that was interesting was that when you're in the battle, he said, I had to hate to survive. And I said, so did you hate them? What did you? He said, I hated what was happening to people who didn't deserve it. And I think that's in some ways what I feel is like I really have, the only hate I really have, if I'm being honest with you, is when I look at adults and I go, couldn't you just have freaking opened that door, dropped those kids off, and driven off the cliff? Really? Stop taking people with you with your hate and with your self-destructive. Look, drive yourself off the cliff, but why starve those children? Why do all that? That's, and I remember, my dad used to say this all the time. He'd say, listen, the only way this country is going to be destroyed is from within. He said, we've survived everything, right? So really think about, I just want to say, I kind of want to come in and say hi to Nikki. Bree Smith, good to see you. Oh my gosh, forever. And I think that, I do sell the nails, All Unite. And actually, once this goes up, I have the link right here. It's actually right on this website. So I'll put it here for you. I didn't think, Cherie, I wasn't thinking that white people need to unite. And I agree with you on that. I think people in general need to unite. And here's the thing that's happening, all right? And this is the thing, and what is up with my little, okay, I hope that my camera decided to have a moment. I sincerely hope in all of this that we look at this as, there's a woman on, and I don't want to say the social media platform, but I was kind of arguing with her, but she was really radical, so stupid. It was and I go, okay, this is what my mind does when I'm not well, right? And she said something really mean to me, and I stepped back and I said, this is where you and I differ. You are, in my case, everybody I was talking, it was an American conversation, so it didn't have anything to do with any other country, but it was, you're an American. And at the end of the day, I will always stand for your rights before before I stand for anybody else's rights, because unless we put on our own seatbelt, we can't help other people. And it's not to say that I don't believe that other people should be helped or anything like that. But, at the end of the day, I don't want to fight with people infighting. I want us to work on solutions together. And I remember saying to a friend of mine, because we disagreed profoundly on something, and it was just a post on Facebook, and we kind of like had a message, and I said, listen, I really wish we could sit in the same room together and have this discussion. And his response was, you won't change my mind. And I said, why would I want to change your mind? I just want to be in the room with you so I can really be with you while you share what's going on with you. Because, Owen, stop. He is like being... Now that his tumor is shrinking, I'm not kidding, guys. I don't know what kind of prayer y'all are doing out there, but like somebody's been sending that boy Reiki, because my dog Owen, who was dying, he's been dying since he was 5, I've decided, and he's now 13. So don't give me the evil stare. He gives me the evil eye, like, Anyway, so what did Cherie say now? Like, I don't think white people. No, I agree with you. I don't think it's about white people. I don't think it's about black people. I think my father was born in 1922. And thank you for asking, Cruz Boston. Ornery Owen. Oh my gosh, he is just like giving me the, okay. Let's see. World peace isn't natural. It's normal to be comfortable around your own kind. Yeah, to share views and values. I know it doesn't mean we can't get on. Pop-sized forces to mix and haven't adopted. I don't know what that means. Sorry, I missed that part, humanimal. I don't understand. But here's what I want to say. When I was in college, lunchroom, there were some of my black friends, and they all sat together. And the white people sat on the other side. And I remember going over to one of my friends, and I said, why are you sitting over there? Why don't you just join us? And he said, because we have the right to do whatever we want, and we choose each other's company. And I was like, oh, okay, good enough for me, I think the thing is that I don't mind if you're different. What do I care? What I don't like is I don't want to press my values on you any more than I want your values pressed on me. And I think what happens is that rather than try to understand, we are screaming loudly to be understood. And I think that the biggest issue that happens in that case is you're going to deliver the information in a way that will not allow me to hear it. Somebody put a great post up, and she was saying all this great stuff, and I thought it was, wow, that's really good. And then at the end she wrote, and if only you were smart enough to know. And I thought, and I wrote, you had me and you were right on until you had to be mean at the end. See, nobody's going to listen to you if you start criticizing them. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I can't tell you, you know that if I came up to you and said, oh, hey, what's going on, humanimal? You're an idiot. You'd be like, what? If I said to you, that's a dumb thing to say. It's different if you're sitting in my living room and I'm kind of going, hey, what's going on? What are you thinking? Man, don't put that on. Like I might say, get that hat off. It looks silly. But I would never put that on a page where I went, that hat looks stupid on you. But if you're in my living room, it's different. But you see, what people don't understand is we're not in each other's living room. Do you know that the study was just out? 22% of all millennials feel lonely. Lonely. Remember when we were in our 20s? We were running around in our 20s. We're like, oh, I'm going here, I'm going there. I don't remember. I was lonely, but I don't remember not having any friends. That's what they're saying now. And you know why? Because they haven't translated living room to social media. This is not my living room, by the way. It is, but it's not, you're not like sitting with me and I'm not able to go, hey, what's going on? Part of the reason that I like this medium is because I learned that skill. And so you guys can relate to me in that because you go, oh yeah, I know what Tori means, right? So, but if I took my exact transcript and I put it into just a text, y'all would be going, oh, she's mean at times. See, that's what editing is. That's why we have to go back in and edit. So I think what I'm trying to say is that, we need to teach each other how to behave. I think Sean's like, I was never lonely in my 20s, but here's what happens. We have, and I'm glad you said that, Sean, because now all of a sudden we have all of these criticisms, right, in our head of, well, and I'm going to use an MLM as an example, just because I like selling these. I like Avon, right? I sold Avon when I was 19. I don't do it anymore, but every once in a while I'll see a book and I'll go, oh, I want to get that. That doesn't mean I have to sell it, but I like this and it's giving me joy. But you see, what happens is people are joy snatchers. They want to go, oh, that's stupid. And it's like, so pretty soon we're so afraid of what some unknown person is thinking of us that we go, oh, I'm just going to sit here and be alone. I'm not going to do anything. And we have to, I know, isn't that scary, Joanne? That's let's say, I promise you, if you ever go to county jail for a few days, you'll know the racial dynamics work bare bones. You know what, Clara? I bet you're right. I bet you are 1,000% right. And I'm going to say something else about that racial dynamic, all right? Which may surprise you coming from me, but I'm very aware of the destruction of the Black family and the mass incarcerations that happened and still happen. And I think what happens is that there are different levels of standards. And it's very difficult for me as a white person to talk about it. It's really more, I'm in a position where I want to support Black voices, people of color voices, but not voices of hate, voices of reason, voices of education, voices who have been there, voices who know and can share with me what's going on without blaming me for it. See, the issue that I have is that I want to listen. My problem is that the minute they start saying to anybody starts saying to me, well, it's your fault and you just don't get it, because it's like, how am I going to get it? You're making me the problem. If you feel that something's the problem, share that. But please don't make me the problem if I want to hear you, because I'm not going to hear you unless the anger's not directed at me. I can't tell you. That's the issue, is that, and I love that you said that, Clara, because one of the things I think is that, we're so busy trying to understand through a lens that people of color don't have. And I'm not saying they're deficient. It's just their lens is different. But I can't see through that lens because anything I hear, I'm going to put through my own brain. So if I can hear it and go, yeah, I can understand that, then I can support the idea of up-leveling in life. But there are certain things that, and I wrote this down on somebody's thing and they got pissed at me. And I said, well, I have thoughts about solutions, but I'm not in a position to say because I haven't been there, right? And somebody went, oh, so you think you know everything because, you have, as a white person, you have all the answers for Black America. And I go, no. What I said is, I don't feel it's my place to share what I think because I could be completely wrong. I don't know, but I want to hear what you have to say. Well, that, nothing, crickets. Because you see what happens is there's a lot of anger, and rightfully so in some ways, but I don't know a lot of it. And I think it's very important to, it's the personal connection that helps me. And I've got to tell you, when I was coming up, I think it was in the 70s, we would sit together and I'd go, so what's it like to be Black? And we would talk to each other. But I want to share with you, it's different. Now it's different because now we've come through 50 years of mass incarcerations and so many issues that, I'm sorry, guys, I don't have that experience. That doesn't mean I don't care. It just means that I don't want to minimize someone else's point of view by taking up a cause and sounding like an ass. Really, how many people, right, sound like asses because they're out there going, well, this is what, poor Black people, poor people of color. It's like, oh, shut your hole. Shut your pie hole. I want to hear from them, not you, because I don't learn from you. All right. I learn from the people who have that experience. Just like alcoholism, just like anything else. My father died and people were walking up to me and going, "Oh, I know how you feel." I go, "Oh, did you lose your parents?" No, I lost and I'm like, then you don't know how I feel. Like, you can't know how I feel. And for me, I understand that level of rage. Stop trying to validate that you can understand how I feel when you haven't been there. And I think when we look at it that way, we can look at the rage, right? And one of the things that's happening is we can also look at, you can't blame people who don't know what your rage is about until you share with them what it's about and really be able to articulate it without pushing it on someone. And that's what's been happening. People just want to push, and I want to know. I'll ask a question and I get blasted. Like I'll say, "Okay, why do you not like this person?" Or "Why do you think this?" And it's kind of like, well, I'm not going to know if you don't tell me. But if you get on and go, "Well, you're just another white woman who's trying to look good." Well, of course I'm a white woman who's trying to look good. I mean, that's like, but I'm not trying to solve your issues because I don't know what they are. I can support you in your stuff, but I want to do this peacefully. I want to do this in a way that's going to uplift us, not bring us down. I want to see us uplifted together where I have an understanding of your experience. I want to have an understanding of it that is loving. And, that's the thing, is the PC culture has gotten to such a way where it's become a fake catering. It's a fake catering to people. We're just blowing smoke at people going, "I understand you, poor blah, blah." It's like, no, you don't understand. It's like, really? Really? No, you don't. So I think PC culture, and I just kind of heard that, like, I think the thing is that we can't blame an average white guy walking down the street any more than we can blame an average black guy walking down the street, or a gay guy or gay woman. Here's this couple I'm talking about, right? And so everybody's like avoiding the fact that the Harts were gay women. Well, boy, if the media got a hold of that, it would be like, but you see, here's the problem. It's because they were troubled people. And you see, the more we just face the reality, oh, darn it. Am I back? The more we face the reality of it's not good or bad, it's just, great to see you, Joni. So good to see you. The more we face the reality of we don't know. The first thing, and I'm going to be teaching this class, I was talking to my assistant today and I just said, "Listen, I can't think right now, but I said, I am going to be teaching a class, and I think I'm going to start it toward the end of August, which is, the chakras, right? Because, I do a lot of chakra work, but it's also going to be about, like self-healing, energetic awareness through the chakras, what that's about for us, so that we can really learn a new level of communication through what we know to be true internally for us. Like, I know to be true, I don't understand a person of color experience. I know that to be true. I just don't. I'm never going to. I will be able to identify that, oh, I grew up with alcoholism and I know what that's like, right? And so I can understand certain things of it. But to kind of say, well, you don't know when you don't tell me, it's like a teenager saying, "You're not going to ever understand." No, I won't, because you don't tell me. So that's what I feel about that. And I don't feel it's because someone's, that couple's gay, or because I think it's because that couple was sick and they fed their sickness off of each other, and they were dishonest and they were delusional that those children, I'm talking about the Hart family, that those children were murdered because they wanted to control the world. You see, I guarantee that couple, again, they could be a straight couple, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, they had gotten together to go, we want the world to show how much love and peace there is in our differences. Really? Because you starved those kids to death, and then you murdered them. And you know what? That's the point I'm making, is that we will never get to an understanding until we as people sit down in a room with each other. And I think we're missing that. And I think that when I look at the 20 somethings, they are craving it. You know, I mean, yeah, okay, let's face it, everybody. If you're in your late 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you're sitting here, you're like, okay, so we're older, right? You know, so there's some reasons we may not, like, I mean, I don't have the energy to go out, you know, or whatever. But, you know, I think you have to find those bridges. And I'm going to come full circle and wrap this by saying there are energetic bridges we have to cross, which is, for me, and bear with me, you know, I know that some of you, when somebody said, oh, that's an MLM, and I'm like, okay, but you know, maybe there's nothing wrong with that for me. Maybe it's not anything wrong that I like to, you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to sell anything. But what I love about this, and I'm going to share this with you because I think it's really important. What I love about my color street thing with my nails, you guys heard me all the time. I'm always doing my nails, but now I have a community that I'm enjoying. And the women who order from me, the women who I am getting to connect with, you know, I'm enjoying it. And I'm not trying to, you know, hard sell anyone. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm trying to save my own life. And if we look at that, and as we come up today on the anniversary of, you know, Devontae's image, you know, picture of hugging the cop, as we come up on Shanann and the anniversary of the horrifying murder of that family, and looking at how so many of us have united together through that. And, you know, I kind of looked at the videos and I was like, well, I wouldn't want to do that. You know, I wouldn't want to sell like that, because there was a certain amount of facade. But for me, this is just a fun thing. It's nails. It's not going to change anybody's life. Well, it's kind of changed mine, because I feel like now in my 50s, I like the camaraderie of people again. I like seeing younger people and older people coming together. And it's just, you know, I think the thing is that I love being able to do girly things that I did in my 20s that, you know, once we get into our 40s and 50s, it's kind of like, aren't you too old for that? No, I'm not too old, and you're not either. Let me just see if I, you know, and Cruz Boston, I want to just really acknowledge her. You know, I want to say that my mods are some of those incredible people, and I'm just so touched and blessed. Cruz Boston is amazing, and she'll, you know, I'm telling you, that woman can like beat you at an arm wrestle, man. She's got it going on. And I just really appreciate, Jess was here for a while, and I just want to say that. That's right. We're not too old for that. We're not too old for that. We're not too old to play. We're not too old to enjoy things. And I want to go just say this in defense of Shanann. She felt her life changed with Thrive. She was excited about it. So yes, but here's the thing. That was thousands of dollars, and you're required to have stock. I don't think of something that I don't have to have stock on and you go on and order as a big investment. So for me, it's just fun. You know, oh, okay, Alicat. I wish you had said that. I wanted to hear it. My ex, who's all messed up, I have nothing to do with him, but he still sends messages blaming me after 13 years of being apart. He still says I abandoned him. You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, Sheree. What I want to say about, you know, this is going to sound shocking. Ready? Adults can't be abandoned. We can't. You know why? Because we're not babies. That came out in the 80s when we were doing some self-healing. But the reality is that children can be abandoned. And I think we really need to look at cases like this Hart thing, where as adults, you know, I'm going to share the story with you, so bear with me, because you guys, you know, I was out to dinner, it's a couple of years ago, with a friend of mine. And she was sitting there and she's like, and I said something offensive like I usually do because I'm a Sagittarian. And that's why I have this, I use this all the time. You know what this is? It's a, I'm sorry, forgive me, because I do stupid things. We all do, right? So it's right here in my pocket. So you guys, I can share it with you. It says, I'm sorry. It's so easy to use. Just keep it in your pocket. It works all the time, except if you're sitting there with someone who feels abandoned. So I'm sitting there with this woman, and she's no longer a friend. And we're sitting there, and I just said something. And she said, you know, my inner child is really offended by what you just said. And I said, okay, well, I'm sorry. You know, no, but I need to, and she kept going on, I need to just share that. I said, no, I'll tell you what you need to do. All right. You need to go over to that other table. You have a little conversation, you and the adult with your inner child. You two talk, figure it out. Then you come back and you talk to me about the solution, because I'm very happy to talk about it, but not to some infant. I'm not having infant talk with you. And see, this is the thing. I can't talk to your lower self. And sometimes I'll say to people, look, you know what? I'm not in my higher self right now. And I've been this way all week. I've been like, keyboard commando, and it's like, because I'm not in my higher self right now. But here's the difference. I know it. So I try to stay away from people so I don't hurt them. So let's see what's going on. Okay. I'm in my early 40s. I don't care what people say. After working on myself, I let go of a tough childhood. God bless you. And I'm more lighthearted, more of a kid at heart now than my 40s. Live, boo, do you. I agree with you, Alicat. I'm so glad you said that, because I felt that way when I hit my 40s. I was like, really? This is the best kept secret. So exactly that. It's like, just, you know what? I can't have this talk with you because this is coming from an emotional place. When I have this talk with people, I say, this is coming from an emotional place that I'm not mature enough to handle. And people are like, oh. And I had a client. I was working with a client. I was doing card reading. And I finally, she was like crying. Oh, and I said, hold on. We need to suck this up. And she's like, what? I go, I am not a therapist, but I am going to tell you something. I can't talk to your child. I can't talk to heal that. That's a therapist's job. I can talk to you energetically as an adult so we can look at things and energetically see what's going on with you. And it's looking outside of you because you're not helping yourself. So the biggest thing I can say is, if you need therapy, get it. I know I've done it in my life. If you need medical attention, please don't think that, someone else is responsible for a tantrum. And this is what I'm seeing with this whole thing. I'm watching these news channels having tantrums, and I'm going, oh, please. Oh, please. You need to be an adult and tell me what the story is so that I can make the decision, not give me your opinion about it. And I think that's what gets me mad sometimes. It's like, I get like, stop being babies, Yeah, friends are there for, oh, God bless you. Karen Wise just said, hold on. My mother's 84 and she's wonderful friends. Their ages are 60s to 93. Friends are very important. They take day trips. They go, see? And this is where, for me, reigniting my community has been really helpful. So I love you all very much. I have lost my energy tonight, so I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to do some meditation, and but first I'm going to have to play with the dogs because they're getting a little and I'm going to get a good night's sleep. And hopefully tomorrow will be a new day for us all. And I hope that some of the things I've said tonight have been helpful to you. And I want to let you know that the link, which I have, let me see if I have it on here. I don't know if okay. Yes, it is. There it is. Hold on. This is the link. Okay, just so you know, that is the link right there for it may not take you to the right thing, but there is a party link. And that's going to be on this right after we're finished for the Color Street. I really encourage you to go check it out. It's like such a great product. There are tutorials on it. Believe me, you can buy something and you don't have to sell it. I'm selling it because I use them all the time, and I got to be honest, I was at my doctor's today and the nurse was like, oh my God, I love your nails. I'm like, here. She bought some. She was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And that's what happened to me. So I love y'all. And, I give up. What happened? I'm sorry. Okay, good. I just like thinking. Love you guys. And I'm going to talk about my diagnosis and what's going on with me on my Patreon page. Just because I want to keep it a little bit more like people who are, like on the supportive thing. Nikki, very good to see you. And you really are a kick-ass card reader. And I'm going to go get some rest. And I will talk to all of you a little later. I hope you have a very blessed evening. Bye for now. Oh, wait. Say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean. And be kind to each other.